Hey, welcome back. My guest in this segment is James Lowe. He's the Executive Vice President of Operations for GrowForce Holdings, Inc. James, welcome.
Glad to be here.
James, let's start with the obligatory overview. What does GrowForce Holdings do?
So GrowForce Holdings, Canadian LP. We have a little bit of a different approach, a little bit different history. Our roots are in the United States. We were spun out of a company, M. Hardeen Management. They're the largest cannabis cultivator in North America to date. They've produced over 100,000 kilos of cannabis in their history, manage or own 38 plus facilities spread out over a wide geographical area from Hawaii to Vermont. So GrowForce is kind of born out of those roots, completely independent company based here in Toronto, and we are leveraging, I guess, the experience that that group has built over the last decade to essentially be the most experienced LP in Canada, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm. So that's probably a shock and a revelation to not just myself, but a lot of people watching. M. Hardeen is the largest grower of cannabis in North America.
Yeah, biggest grower you've never heard of, right?
Right.
So, and that's not to get into too much of their story, but you know, they've switched to an owner asset model instead of just management. But because of years of management with different licensees around the country, you know, they were responsible for operating those cultivation businesses for the client, not just really in a consulting role, actually hands-on. All the employees were theirs. So they, you know, quietly built up a massive data pool, you know, hundreds of harvests, thousands of tests, millions of grams of cannabis grown over 10 years.
Wow.
You know, all of which was done in the shadows. So you know, we're excited to be the exclusive international partner to utilize their IP and expertise here in Canada and other locations.
Very cool. So, so the general game plan is to be a licensed producer providing recreational mostly, or medical, or both?
Both. You know, the way that we look at it, this is lap one of a 600 lap race. You know, we're not in a hurry to make a splash on October 17th. We have a very measured approach to what we're doing here. You know, we're not in the business of building millions of square feet of greenhouse. We actually think that's maybe not the right play for this area of the world. So we are very much indoor-focused company, run our own indoor, run our own extraction, controlling our own retail shelf space. So full vertical integration, seed to sale.
And you have a go public strategy.
Yeah, go public early October. We completed a $38 million raise recently. I think, yeah, like I said, first week of October, we're doing an RTO with a Platform 8 shell. All of that documentation and heavy lifting is behind us. So as soon as the TSX gives us the go-ahead, we'll be trading soon. Wow,
very cool. So is the plan to continue to grow more facilities?
Well, like I said, it was a measured approach. You know, we don't have any intent to, you know, grow massive greenhouse, right? We are
good.
Purely focused. The last thing the Canadian market needs is another big greenhouse.
Right.
But no, it's indoor agriculture for us. You know, we believe that you know, maybe because there's been a lot more capital available to the Canadian LPs to date, and maybe not so much experience. There's a lot of present greenhouse industry here from the veg and hort and cut flower world. And so there was a belief that, hey, we'll go ahead and build nice big greenhouses. It's obviously the low-cost way to go. But what we often refer to as a first mover disadvantage in this industry. I know it from experience. I've got the battle scars to prove that maybe being first mover is not always best. But for us, you know, that indoor cultivation technique is going to provide, you know, year-round, consistent, high-grade product, especially here in Canada, where you've got, you know, some of the lowest energy prices in the developed world, 3 cents a kilowatt hour at some of our locations, that kind of chips into some of that perceived benefit of greenhouse production. So.
Sure, you bet. Do you have a plan to continue into the U.S.? Should it go legal there?
No, well, that's where that spin out occurred.
M. Hardin stays in the U.S.?
A year ago, M. Hardin's stays in the U.S. Through a contractual relationship. They'll be able to follow GrowForce through international expansion, keep utilizing their expertise and IP. But no, M. Hardin's U.S., GrowForce, headquartered in Toronto, but with global aspirations.
Okay, great. Well, that's an awesome introduction. We will come back to you after you go public and see how the company's making out. Thanks for joining me today, James.
All right, thanks.